Vortok International, based in Plymouth, Devon, manufacture a range of railway infrastructure maintenance and safety products. With a staff of 29 and a projected turnover in 2014 of over £9 million, the company holds both ISO 9001 and ISO 14001 quality accreditations. They previously relied on their accounts software along with a series of fragmented Excel spreadsheets and Access databases across different departments, which caused a number of problems.
We didn't have any quality functionality, so therefore we couldn't book things in until they passed inspection, so you'd have this big void where things would come in, no one would know about it. For the procurement manager it was an absolute nightmare because he would inevitably ring up the supplier and just be embarrassed when the supplier sort of said to him, it's already there. And quality itself was also completely manual as well, so collating statistical data was a very, very laborious process for the quality management.
The company decided in 2012 that they needed an ERP system and set about writing a specification of requirements. The initial aim was to resolve the immediate problems such as stock control and traceability, with a long-term goal of adding functionality such as batch control and shop floor data capture. They also focused on improving their knowledge of ERP to ensure they selected the right solution for their business.
It's one thing to sort of go out and buy one, but it's also important to understand what you're buying. So that was an important sort of part of the process, and throughout that process we also worked out what we wanted, because having not had it we didn't actually know what we wanted in the first place. So that search was important to actually understand what was out there, to then basically understand what we needed.
They initially reviewed 18 systems, gradually removing vendors that didn't deliver required functions such as quality control. In tandem with this, Vortok set about changing various existing procedures with the aim of building robust, ready-to-use processes in the selected ERP system, as there were concerns that staff might be resistant to change.
Yeah, you can change things too quickly, too many things too quickly, and we wanted to get the foundations right by getting good data.
The systems reviewed cost up to around £39,000, required training costing up to £46,000, with one requiring 50 days of training, and annual maintenance of over £11,000. A standard 123insight is available on a low monthly subscription with no lengthy contracts. The system requires just 6 days of no obligation training, which users attend on the understanding that if they choose not to select 123insight, they can walk away with nothing to pay. Although Vortok also included their current provider in the review process, Chris was not overly impressed with the newer release.
I think in all honesty we didn't like the existing software. So although we did look into that avenue and we gave them an equal opportunity to tender for the work, but ultimately the response that came back was that it wasn't that great. And none of it was relevant. It was all to do with accounts. There was nothing for production. So we knew we wanted a production system.
Vortok selected 123insight in May 2013 and continued creating new processes and reports, which were to be replicated in 123insight. They attended the 6 days of training, which Chris found very useful.
And what we got from the 123insight training was we went to the training course, we kind of learnt the software, we learnt best practice, we talked to other people that were implementing the system to understand how they were going to implement it. And with the fantastic support we've received from the support team, we were able to largely implement it ourselves. And on a personal level, there's a lot more kind of satisfaction that comes from that. And there's less reliance on expensive consultants.
The training prompted several enhancements to existing processes, including a restructuring of part numbers.
The other beauty of 123 was it's one of the very few systems that we could actually change the part numbers if we chose to. So there was a nice bit of security there that we could try it. If it didn't work, we could just change it back. And that was something that we really struggled with our old system. As soon as a drawing had to change, because our parts were linked to a drawing number, we have to create a new part for it, which means that we then lost all of our history.
Other staff also learnt the system quickly. Vortok took advantage of 123insight's configurable security, ensuring that staff could only access what they needed to.
There's some people that use the system that we haven't trained, and it's controlled because we've got the role-based permissions on. But quite often someone will say, "Oh, how do we do this?" and it's all, such and such, and I'm just like, "Wow, I haven't even shown you how to do that." So it's very intuitive, and that's the feedback we get from everyone.
Once Vortok were happy with their new processes, they planned to go live in October 2013. Austin and Chris spent the weekend transferring live stock, sales and purchase orders, with 123insight going live across the company on the 2nd of October. Immediately, the company noticed significant benefits. Stock holding reduced dramatically, despite the output nearly doubling, saving over £200,000, literally within 2 months.
There was no logical way of actually working out what we needed to buy in looking forward. What is, we've got a history of what we've sold in that, but what's the future demand for that product? It was always a bit tricky. But now we've got a much further, a larger order book, which goes a bit further as well. And with the minimum quantities we've actually put into the system, stock levels have come down. So we've got a much larger order book for the future, but less stock holding.
A knock-on effect was that they also were able to massively reduce lead times. More stock was held for faster moving lines, and the overall space reduction allowed for better use of manufacturing resources. Overseas sales saw an increase due to consignment stock in certain regions, such as Australasia, where shipping accounts for between 6 weeks and 3 months of a product's lead time. Held directly at the customer's locations, stock can be called off immediately when required, then invoiced and replenished. Planned versus actual manufacturing time can be analysed to identify where further savings can be made through better manufacturing methods. Numerous other benefits filtered through, delivering improvements to regularly performed tasks. For example, works orders now include the exact location of parts to be picked, so locating stock takes much less time than before and is more accurate. A part can now have multiple routings, for example manufactured or bought in, allowing Vortok to instantly cost for different scenarios and make decisions that previously would have taken time and often proven inaccurate.
The structure screen has been brilliant because we can actually put down the routing, put down the parts or subcontractors to get a value, and then we can put a value as if we were just buying it. And in a couple of instances we can see that, why are we doing this?
One key requirement was that any ERP system had to integrate with existing and future systems. Vortok also used 123insight's CRM Plus and SDK options. CRM Plus is used to assist with the company's quality management, which Chris cites as being extremely useful.
The main benefit we see from CRM is going to be the internal workflows, so that any actions that need to be done, we can instigate them from 123 and manage them as well.
SDK is currently used to drive 123insight's stores management functionality, allowing staff to use low-cost tablets to find, pick or check stock items. In the future, Vortok will use SDK to integrate to their CAD and PDM systems, so that bill of materials can be created automatically. The company upgraded their Pegasus Opera account system, with which 123insight communicates via the Advanced Accounts interface. They've also linked to Microsoft SharePoint for document management, ensuring that the correct revisions of drawings are associated with parts when creating purchase or works orders. Previously, items could easily get forgotten, such as a preferred courier method or documentation requirement. Now, pop-up text warnings can be associated with a process, such as raising a sales, purchase or works order, or booking an item in from one location to another.
Some of our customers are very fussy on the documentation that we send to them, particularly the export. So having pop-up notes coming up to basically tell people that, oh, don't forget to put this on there, don't forget to put that on there, is very good.
Quality audits saw major improvements.
The other thing is that the quality manager, if you spoke to him, he would tell you that in his opinion it's paid for itself already, because the audits are now so seamless. It's and they're actually impressed. The auditors are very impressed with our system.
It has paid for itself, definitely on the stock holding, reduction in the stock holding in itself. Within a couple of months, the stock's reduced down and it stayed down. So the money's available to be invested in software or anything else that we require.
Visibility and accessibility of data across all departments saw massive improvements, with Chris noting the ability to move around the system at speed.
One thing, we actually create a BOM from scratch. None of the parts exist in the system. It'll just jump straight from a part on the BOM that you're making, straight into the part rack where it create it, and then you can jump back and carry on. That sort of thing. Or when you go into a stock interrogation, you want to find out which transactions are coming, what's the delivery note number. It's just the fact that you can go into things and just constantly go round and round, almost chasing your tail within the system.
You can literally you can catch up with where you are. Start in one area, go off on a tangent, and then come back to where you were, where you were at the start, which is quite trippy. But the drill down is fantastic.
Vortok has a second location 1 mile away from their main facility, connected via ISDN. Staff there connect to 123insight via remote desktop, which Chris cites as being fast enough despite the relatively low transfer speeds. This has given the company confidence with a forthcoming expansion.
Yeah, we're just opening up, we're just taking on next month somebody as a part of the sales team for our expansion into, or more of a permanent location in America, USA. With it being possibly manufacturing within a year or so.
So again, we're looking to have this, our HQ here as the hub, and for them to use 123insight as well from our servers. So, the system is great in terms of its flexibility and scalability. It takes where we want to go.
Vortok has support contracts with many software vendors and had become accustomed to a certain level of support. However, since going live with 123insight, their opinion of other vendors has changed.
We've got a number of support contracts for various different bits of software, and up until 123 it was not acceptable but almost acceptable that they would get back to you the next day. Whereas with 123 we'll ring them up and 9 times out of 10 we've got an answer there and then, and if not we've got an email within the hour. So now when we actually have to use the other support providers, we just get increasingly annoyed that that what we thought was almost acceptable before just isn't. The datum has been set now and not many people meet it.
Turnover has increased significantly despite the company employing just 29 staff. Richard Robertson, MD, concluded, Vortok is committed to a year-on-year growth figure of at least 5%, although in 2014 turnover will grow by approximately 20% to over 9 million. This growth could not have been accommodated by our old manual system. 123insight has been instrumental in the company's startling growth during 2014, ensuring that all departments meet the new, much heavier demand upon resources. It will be key to our further US expansion and management of it.